Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. Welcome, everybody, to the Orange Hammer Podcast. Today, we've got Dustin Vaughan in the house. Dustin, how are you doing today?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate you making the drive, man. We met through Amanda Jordan and that rap networking group.
It's
That's
a great
pretty
networking
cool
group. Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'll be going to as many of those as I can, even though I don't live or really work in that county. But it's just still...
But the benefits are exponential.
Yeah.
We never would have met, so we never would have had a chance to do
100%.
business together. And now we can.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you are, well, it's interesting to me because I'm in the trade, but I think it has a legit interest to people who are not in the trade because people don't really think about how much scrap and garbage is generated from even the most efficient of job sites.
Absolutely.
And you're in the dumpster business. So for those who don't know, you're dropping off the empty can, the dumpster, we call it a can, sorry
Right.
for listeners. We're graced with the studio dog, Willie Bear, as well today. So you're dropping off the can and picking it up when you get the call that it's full. And for a one shot drop price, as long as it's not like insanely overweight.
That's correct.
You'll just like take care of that completely and it'll just vanish.
That's right. So one thing that I learned when I got into this business was a lot of the bigger companies, I'm not going to say complicate things, but I like to keep it all simple. So take it back to a homeowner's perspective. You want to know, if you call me because you're going to clean out your garage, you want to know, what's this going to cost me to do that, right? You don't want to know that, it's going to be $130 for me to bring it, $130 for to pick it up, X amount per day or week, and then we're going to tack on tonnage at the end.
Yeah.
You want to live by the famous saying, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, it's way easier to be like, it's $450.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
Like, as long as you're not throwing bricks in there
Yep.
that over tonnage, then we're good.
And that's what I tell people all the time is, as long as you are just cleaning out household stuff, it never goes over weight. So we include our drop-off price, our pickup price, and your rental all in one price, and that includes throwing away 2 or 3 tons depending on what size container you get. So you know that that's what it's going to cost you unless you start throwing away, tile, you're doing a bathroom remodel and you have tile or sheetrock or something of that nature, then it gets heavy and then, prices go up. But we explain all that from the beginning. And if you're just doing a household clean out, throwing away old junk, it never goes overweight. That's how we came up with our pricing. We don't want the unexpected BS. Oh, where'd this come from? Where'd that come from? Why is it, you said 375? Why is it 450 now? So we're trying to simplify it to make everybody have a happy experience by doing this, rather than dealing with one of the large mainstream companies who are just out there to make $1. We want you to refer us to your neighbor, to your friends. Oh, yes, absolutely. These guys took care of us. They were very easy to deal with and made the process simple.
Yeah, 1-800-JUNK is who you're describing, because I've dealt with them, and it's like, it's not a hidden fee, but it's definitely like they glance over real quick that it's like so much to drop, so much to deliver, and then like per pound. And it's like, oh, wait, per pound. And you start doing the math, and it's like way more than what, you would be thinking about. I mean, even I, though, have like had the occasional, in construction, I've had the occasional like dumpster that's like, the guy has to be like, hey man, I got to charge you 23 extra bucks because it was so heavy, and it's like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. Like, right. I get it. We were a lot of original 2x4s. They're real dense, real heavy, and we wedged them in there perfectly because we're trying to, save space. But I just think, okay, so how does one, and then also how did you get into the I want to rent out dumpster business?
So that's kind of a long story, but,
we got time.
The short version is I had another business. So I've kind of been in the construction business on and off all of my life. My dad and grandpa own a construction business. My grandpa passed. My dad and my grandma are running it. And so I worked, I grew up in the construction industry. So I know construction.
Very cool.
I got out of that, got out on my own, and got into a law enforcement career for about 10 years. Loved that, loved every bit of it. The only sad part about it is you are only going to make this much money. They tell you what you're going to make, and that's it. It doesn't matter how good or how bad you do. If you outwork the guy standing next to you, you're still going to make the same amount of money. And so I found a hobby, basically. I started a laser engraving business, and I did laser engraving on tumblers.
Oh, very cool.
Just about anything you can think of that you wanted personalized, I did it. But that really was just a hobby. It was beer money, side money, just here or there. It wasn't anything big. But anyway, long story longer, a buddy of mine came to me and asked to get some tumblers engraved, and he had just started his dumpster rental business. And he pulls up in the yard, says, hey, this is what I've got. We met through a mutual friend. He said, these are the tumblers. Can you put this logo on them? And I said, sure, but, what is that trailer that you're dragging behind you? We talked about it. I said, well, that's stupid easy. I can do that with the background that I had in the construction industry and everything. So I just thought about it, did my research, looked into different companies that made them. Started just asking people and started paying attention to the dumpsters that are around. That's how I started finding out about the complexity that the mainstream companies do and how to simplify it and stuff like that. So I just decided to pull the trigger and do it. I said, you know what, let's give it a shot.
So do you buy like two?
I bought 5.
5,
yep.
Okay.
So I bought one trailer to pull behind my pickup truck and 5 dumpsters. And I just gave it my all. I hit the ground running.
So the trailer is one of those ones where you can pull the dumpster on it?
Okay.
Yep.
It was a very simple, basic concept.
One of those like power winch kind of deals?
It was just a trailer frame, a 2-piece frame. The bed of it lifted up. It had a winch on top, and it just pulls the dumpster up on there.
Yeah, because listeners might not know, in this industry, you can get like one of these massive dumpsters that rolls off this trailer and will like leave a not like terrible, but will leave a noticeable groove in some like earth. Or you can get like a legitimate dump trailer that has wheels and is just towed behind a truck, and then they just disconnect it and leave it there for you.
Yep, and both have their advantages
for sure,
depending on what kind of job you're doing and
accessibility, especially. Yep.
So and that being said, I looked into doing that as well. You know, just hey, which way is the better route for me to go? You know, and I just chose this route. I thought it was just the best option for me. But so I just bought it and I pulled the trigger and I bought it right before COVID. So that, you know, that helped and hurt. But
okay, so how did it help? How did it hurt?
So the construction industry, everybody in the industry knows that, you know, COVID did what it did as far as jacking up prices, you know, and everything else.
Yeah.
It caused issues. Well, we just tried to capitalize on those issues. You know, we just looked at what builders were doing, homeowners were doing, and we just went after it. You know, there were so many people staying at home, they had free time. So I really went after homeowners hard at that point and marketed to them, hey, you're staying at home.
You've got a room full of crap. This is your chance.
Yep. You want to declutter. And that's how I just started, you know, getting the word out.
I mean, I can see the marketing writes itself. Your first step to your dream home office is decluttering that attic.
That's right.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, in fact, during COVID, I had that exact job where an attic full of stuff. They rented a dumpster. I didn't know you at the time. They rented a dumpster. They filled it, and then they hired me to finish off, add a bathroom,
right?
Like make a bonus room and a bedroom, like a full Monty with this massive attic. So it like literally it writes itself.
Yeah. And you know, so and the good and the bad about it was I was still just getting started, so I was trying to figure things out. And the construction industry, because new builds were taking longer, you know, the bigger companies were tied up with their dumpsters sitting on construction sites. So we were able to kind of slide in and pick up the crumbs.
Yeah.
But
that's enough when you're starting.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I thought you know, I was just, and I said all of that to say that I was just blessed. I was blessed with the opportunity, you know, and I don't know how else to look at it. You know, we started with 5. I think they were delivered in May of, May of 2019.
Okay, so you're a 3.5-ish year, 3 years-ish.
Yep.
Ish.
They were delivered in May of 2019. And
Sorry, 4 years.
I bought 10 more that following January.
Okay.
And
nice.
then that following June, I bought a international hook lift truck and 15 more. So
okay, so you know, clearly it worked out.
Right. So
how many you got now?
Now I'm at about 200.
200 cans.
200.
How many trucks are moving them?
We have 2 on the road. I just bought a used 2011. We're fixing up and getting ready to put on the road as well.
So you're gonna have 3 trucks with 3 full-time drivers and you, or 2 drivers and you?
It'll be 2 drivers and me.
And you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
So
and 200 cans.
Yep. So I kind of fill in now. We've got two guys, great guys. That
how many those cans are rented?
Let's see. Right off the top of my head, I think about 125.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know people are like, it should be 195. No. You got to understand like what it's like to be, you know, first of all, somebody's got to get the job. Then they've got to be ready for the dumpster. They've got to have a place for the dumpster. You only get it for 2 weeks. You got to time this stuff. Like, you know,
so,
it's
a
lot.
That, a lot of that has to do, well, the reason I have so many sitting right now is I just bought 70, like last month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you said that at the rap meeting, and I overheard you saying that.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
I just bought 70. So I bought them from a company that went out into foreclosure. So they had their signs, their labels, and everything on them. So what we did was, and they were all full of trash, unfortunately. So the good news was I got them at a really good deal, but we had to pay, you know, the disposal costs, the manpower, the labor, emptying them all out, figuring out which ones are good, which ones won't, you know, getting rid of the ones that were trash.
Okay, so let's talk about what it's like when, so Okay, so for me, like when I buy a house
Mm-hmm.
with my parents who are my partners and we gut it, we'll
Mhm.
need a dumpster day one,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll need a dumpster literally 2 days later.
Right.
Because we're ripping it down, all of it, so fast with like a crew of 6 that it's just like, okay, don't even send an empty truck. Send a truck with an empty can and
Yeah.
just swap them.
That's what we like to do.
Of course you do, because it saves the most gas and the most time.
It's the most efficient.
It's the most efficient, especially when if you're the client, who would be me in this case, that knows like, hey, we're just gonna fill another one up. We're gonna need a third one in a week. Like,
Yep.
well, within the 2-week thing, we're just gonna keep them coming. I'll send you a text. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And, and then there's a moment, as you're aware, but listeners might not be, when the construction doesn't slow, but the trash slows.
Right.
You know, like when you're framing, it's actually extremely fast to watch them frame. But a 9-foot stud, they're only cutting a foot off of that 10-foot stud, or they're ordering 9-foot studs. There's very little, the scraps are not as big, and they take up less room in the dumpster. And it's probably going to be one of those things where you go pick it up right at the end of the time frame rather than it being full. But, you know, there's circumstantial for everything. But my question is, because I don't even really know, like, when you take it away, do you have to drive to a dump and hand bomb it somewhere?
No, that's so if you want to think about it just like a dump trailer or a dump truck for that matter, because I have gotten away from the trailer side of it and we're only using trucks at this point. So if you think about it like a dump truck, how if they bring you a load of gravel or sand or whatever. Dirt,
Sorry,
mulch,
I gotta cut you off because you confused me. You moved away from the trailer into the truck, so now you're just driving those trucks that'll pull the can up onto the back of the truck.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Okay.
We did skip around a lot.
No, you're cool.
So-
I just wanted to make sure I understood you. And again, I like to elaborate for listeners who are not in the industry.
Sure.
So, you know, it's a really big truck that has a massive winch and 2 metal rails on it and that black fabric to cover the full one, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're just using trucks now. There's a whole lot of benefit behind that too. You know, we can get them in tighter places.
Oh, for sure. Back in a trailer is hard.
Well, not only that, but if you the customer says it has to go right here in this parking space, and you bought a townhouse, you know, there's going to be a car on either side of you, and then across the parking lot there's going to be a row of cars. So one of the benefits is that the truck is much shorter, much more compact. You know, we can get it in there, put it in the exact parking spot where you want it. And then when we come back, if there's cars across the parking lot from it, you know, we're not worried about having 40 feet of truck, trailer, and everything else to worry about. So, like I said, there's benefits.
Do you tell your customers to put down plywood before you drop it to protect their like driveway?
We have a contract, you know, that would say what we're responsible for and what you're responsible for. 9 times out of 10, you know, our stuff goes on a construction site, so there's not really a lot of worry as far as where it's sitting. But yes, if we keep a set of boards or something in the truck for people with nice concrete driveways, you know, tile, whatever, patio walkways or whatever, so that we don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Most of our containers have wheels that roll. We do, because they are sitting at construction sites. Some of them are full of mud and stuff like that, so sometimes they don't.
For sure.
And that's our worry is just if the wheel doesn't roll and it, you know, scratches the driveway, so we'll put something under it. So yes.
Yeah.
Most of our customers, though, I'll tell you, they're already aware that they have a nice driveway that they don't want messed up, and they'll tell you, hey, I've left plywood out. Just have your driver put it under there, or, you know, they ask ahead of time, then we know.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, again, I say I have 2 really good guys that they know how to use their head. They get out, they look, they see, okay, yes, this one we would scratch a driveway here, so let's put a board down. You know,
yeah, I mean,
that.
I had a driver tell me, like, you know, I see you have boards, and like he was just like, it's just gonna. It was dirt at the time because it was a house we bought, and whoever owned it before us just didn't have the money or neglected the driveway enough that it was now dirt.
Right.
So he was like, just to avoid huge grooves, like it wasn't going to damage anything. If anything, it was going to get dirt in the wheels of his dumpster.
Right.
So he might have been thinking about his dumpster health. But he was like, if you should throw some boards down, it won't damage the lawn as much. And I was like, okay, cool. We're about going to hire somebody with a excavator to scrape this and gravel it and the whole thing. So I wasn't really, but I still put him down, and it made a lot of difference.
Yeah, and one of the things too is our trucks. The way we do it is we set the dumpster off, and as we're setting it off, the truck will either roll away from the dumpster, or the dumpster will roll away from the truck, and the same thing, picking it back up. So if the ground is hard, if it's packed dirt or whatever, it's going to roll. It's not going to have. It's not going to create those grooves. Now,
gravel, on the other hand, you're going to leave a gravel, but you just rake that up.
Yep, that's nothing more than just getting back out after you picked it up, drag it out with your foot, and roll on.
Yeah.
But if we set it off in a wet yard or something like that, that's what you got to worry about. But again, it's just fixing it and going on, and we do our best to not. I have rode with all of the drivers that I've had over the last few years, and that's one of my pet peeves. Get out, check, make sure you haven't screwed anything up. If you have, send me a picture so that I can let the customer know. And if we need to fix it, then I can go ahead and get it fixed rather than somebody calling and complaining. Because you want to beat that problem before you have it.
Yeah, because it's real life. Shit happens. If you're just on top of it, that's all that matters.
And word of mouth is our biggest advertiser. So if you keep a customer happy, they're going to be happy to recommend you to their friend, their mom, their dad, whoever. But if you pissed them off because you screwed up their yard, somebody says, hey, I need a dumpster. Who do I rent a dumpster from? Well, don't rent it from this guy because he screwed up my yard.
Yeah.
So they're few and far between, but we try to avoid all of that we can.
What's your work radius?
I'll go anywhere that you want to pay to send me.
I
will go anywhere that you want to pay to send me. Now, that being said, we are based out of Lewisburg. We operate a lot in Wake Forest, Youngsville, and Franklinton. We try to stay in that corridor. We'll do Henderson, Warren County, Granville County, but we have gone all the way to Anger, which is about an hour's ride. Pittsboro, we'll go. It's just going to cost more. Normally we do stuff like that for our existing customers, and they normally operate in our area, and they just say, hey, we're starting a job in Pittsboro. Can you bring me one? So sure, absolutely. We just have to add a little bit more for fuel. They don't care because they would rather do business with us, knowing how we operate, keep it simple, than to find somebody in the Pittsboro area. But now if you live in Pittsboro and you call me and say, hey, I want a dumpster, 9 times out of 10, when I give you the price, you're going to find somebody cheaper because it's just going to cost me so much more to get up there.
I mean, it makes sense. You can't lose money. No. And if you're that customer in Pittsboro, it makes sense that they might find that local person. But, it's still the fact that you can do it and just be upfront about hey, look, I don't really do anything more. Like, a dumpster's a dumpster. So I'd love to do it, but I need 15 extra bucks.
Absolutely.
It's just gas. What do you want me to say? Yeah.
For you, if you're going to remodel a house in the middle of downtown Raleigh, you're not going to charge the same price that you would remodel one 10 minutes from here.
Absolutely not.
1, it's a 40-minute ride.
Yeah.
2, you've got to deal with downtown Raleigh for the entire length of that project. So you're going to add more money just for the headache of dealing with downtown Raleigh.
Yeah.
Same concept.
It's
same concept.
It's 100% true. Yeah. And that's something that is definitely something you should think about when you decide where you want to live.
Yes.
Because don't get me wrong. I would love to live in that luxury apartment building behind the Durham Bulls Stadium that has a free rooftop bar and pool that I could watch baseball games from.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'm a bad example because I can fix my own stuff. But if I couldn't fix my own stuff and I was a non-handy person, it just costs that much more money for hiring somebody like me to go there because I gotta trash is hard. Parking a dumpster in downtown Durham is infinitely harder. Probably a special permit that costs money.
I brought up downtown Raleigh for that reason.
Okay,
because I have a customer who does commercial remodels in downtown Raleigh, and if you set a dumpster off in downtown Raleigh and it's not in a fenced in or gated area, the dumpster has to be picked up before the end of business.
So you only get it for that day?
So you only get it for that day.
Whoa.
Yep. So what if they just say, for instance, they're on a back street?
That's where those dump trailers come in handy.
Yes.
Because somebody could just drive off with it and then bring it back in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And they have some sort of ordinance, I guess is the best way to put it, for that reason, is they have to be on wheels. So I have a couple fixed with special wheels for the downtown Raleigh projects, but they still, we still have to, physically go down there, take it in the morning, and then go back and pick it up in the afternoon, because if not, the contractor gets fined. So, that's just
And you wouldn't trust that contractor to just like hook it up and take it to his house for the night and bring it back in the morning.
Well,
and have it for a couple days.
It's the truck. You have to use that truck to pick it up. That's
you have no regular trailers.
Correct.
Let me say.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So if you don't have a truck to pick it up, then
Yeah.
that's the bad part.
Yeah. Because I was fortunate on one job I was doing. This was in Hillsboro, and it was also a commercial job. And there wasn't even an ordinance. It was just like the landlord. He was polite and everything, but he was like, "Hey man, that dumpster's in like day 5 or whatever of building out this tattoo parlor." Shout out to Jeff at Happy Hearts. He was like, that's like really close to all these functioning business, Papa John's and Verizon or whatever. And he was like, "Is there any way we can just move it?" And it was just a regular trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, like the two guys that I hired, they had finished the demo. So like now we were at a much less trash section of the job.
Right.
And like they had a hitch on their van. I was like, "Hey man, this massive parking lot, can you drive it 18 spaces over there?"
Yep.
It took 4 seconds, but that's just like that's one of those pros of having that what we call a regular trailer,
right? Or a dump trailer. Yeah.
Dump trailer, yeah. So do you have like a specialty contract with a landfill? Do you bring everything to the same landfill?
No, what we try to do is just take it to the closest landfill.
Okay.
Now there are.
But the closest landfill to me, for example, like I gotta hand unbomb it into.
Is it a landfill or a transfer station?
Okay, touche. It might be the transfer station.
So, and a lot of the places, and they have construction transfer stations. So it's the same thing essentially that what you're talking about, except for we do it, but we just back up and dump it, and then we dump it on a concrete pad. Then they have a machine pick it up, load it into a big trailer, and then they haul it to wherever.
Okay, so you're not going to the regular trash that people are paying for a couple of bucks transfer station that I go to. You're going to one for guys like you.
That's right.
And like probably the trash pickup trucks.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where I was leading to is some of them have different rules. Some of them, let's say, depending on the household trash versus construction trash or yard waste, the transfer stations and landfills have to get permits to allow you to dump there.
Okay.
The state regulates it. So we have to abide by the rules of their permits.
Do you have to get some specialty like license to be able to go there?
No. What you do is you pull in, you weigh in, and you dump, and then you weigh out, and they charge you by weight.
Well, what stops, for example, like me with a regular pickup truck full of stuff going there?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay.
We have accounts, so they just charge us. They send us a bill every month, and then we pay it. You would just have to pay it by credit card,
right. Like the regular one here in Durham.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The difference to the little transfer, I'm now realizing like the difference between the little transfer station here is they don't have that concrete pad area for you to dump a whole dumpster, and you couldn't even dump because of the railings. So you would I literally have to hand bomb it, which
and you're either throwing it into a compactor or you're throwing it into a big dumpster. Then a truck's going to come pick up that dumpster and haul it to a landfill.
Yeah, in fact, I'm using air quotes for listeners. Their compactor is just a big bulldozer.
Yeah.
They just take the big bucket and like smash it down into the dumpster and just break everything and compact everything just to get a little bit more room. And then exactly the same type of trucks, they just happen to be city trucks, are swapping a full one for an empty one, and then they take them somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so some transfer stations don't have permits for household trash. So when you ask, where do I go? That kind of determines where we go. If
what's in the can.
Yep. So just say, for instance, I rent it to you as a homeowner, and you throw a bunch of your kitchen trash away in it, and
like food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you just say you have it for a month, and rather than you taking your trash to the dump, you got a dumpster here. You just start utilizing the dumpster for all your household trash, along with your garage clean out stuff. At that point, then we have to take it to a dump that's going to allow household trash. Some, like just for instance, one of the transfer stations that we use here in Durham is construction debris only.
Okay.
So, we know, depending on where we pick it up, if it's close to this one and it's construction debris, we're going to this one. But if we pick it up and it's got household trash, then we know we're going to have to ship it somewhere else.
So do you have to literally be like, hey, customer, you gotta let me know if you're throwing the trash in here, or like this is a no trash one? You told me it's construction, or
we
like,
ask.
We just ask.
Yep.
Okay.
When you call and you say you want to rent a dumpster, that's one of the first things that I ask is, okay, what are you doing with it? And then we just tell you, okay, if you're doing a household clean out, then it is what it is. You throw away whatever, because if the household trash is going in there, then we know if there's a little bit of construction debris, it's all going to the same one anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
But
if they're doing an addition,
if you tell me you're going to remodel your bathroom, then I tell you, okay, well, no household trash, because this is where it's going.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't matter, because the closest dump might be the one that takes the household trash.
So it doesn't even,
So it doesn't matter to us. But I do specify.
Do they have different permits or different costs, or both?
Both. Yeah.
Okay.
Each landfill or each transfer station has a different, they set their own price. So we just abide by whatever they have. But it just, the permitting, I don't know how the state determines permitting, what you can and can't dump. That part I don't know.
We'll leave the government up to their bull crap.
Right.
Yeah. So you've worked out from a business perspective, like they can all cost this much because you've marked up enough from whatever all the variations in transfer station costs. So you factored that in.
That's right. Yep.
So you don't have to be like, oh, the Durham one, I got to charge you $11.69 more because their transfer station's more expensive. Like you've just worked that out.
That's right.
So which one makes you the most money? What's the cheapest transfer station?
Well, actually, Durham is one of our cheaper ones that we use.
Nice.
Yeah. So
you need more jobs in Durham.
Yeah, more construction jobs.
more construction jobs
in Durham.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll take the jobs anywhere. But, yeah. So our price, we factored that in, and I just know if it's going to this one, we're not gonna make as much. If we're going to this one, but then you also have to look at it like we have a base price. So if you fill it, like you said earlier, full of 2x4s, and you strategically stack them in there to get the most use out of your dumpster. I've rented you a 20-yard dumpster and you stack 6,000 pounds on the nose. Well, I made less on that dumpster than I would have if you filled it full of HVAC stuff.
For sure.
Because it's so light, HVAC stuff is so light, it might be 2,000 pounds. So now I've made the business has profited more. But it's just one of those give and takes.
So you, in an ideal world, would love like construction, Durham, all foam blocks.
Yeah.
Just packing peanuts.
Or, but that's one of those.
Can we fill a dumpster with balloons?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of those, you take the good with the bad. You know, we knew going into this, I knew I had to figure up cost. Okay, this is what it's going to cost us. The driver, the fuel, the insurance. So we know we have to make this much. And then, but in the efforts of keeping it simple, we said, okay, well, this is what our competitors are doing. How can we make this more easy for someone who just calls in?
Yeah.
And
Don't forget profit. You didn't factor that in.
Well, that I factored in at the end.
Okay.
I said, because I wanted to create a good experience for them, because one of the bigger and nationwide companies, we have heard more complaints from their service, how their service just sucked. They don't pick it up when they're supposed to. You call, you have to deal with an answering service or an answering system. They're 3 or 4 days out. You, for instance, being a contractor, if you pull up and the dumpster's full, all you have to do is send me a text message or call and say, I need a new dumpster. I need a dumpster swap. I text you right back, say, absolutely. It'll be swapped out tomorrow.
But what you're talking about is across the board, the difference between dealing with small-time guys who care about their stuff a little bit more like us versus big box whatever.
Yep.
Like,
so I did all of that. So I factored all of that in. And then we said, okay, what do we need to make? What do we need to make profit-wise? And I came up with that, and I just said, okay, well, we're going to rent it for this amount of money, and we're going to give them this amount of disposal costs. We're going to factor that in. And if they hit it dead on the nose, then, okay, then I've made $20. But we also know that, some of them are going to be full of HVAC stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll make $100 on this one.
Yeah, like for me, you're gonna have both.
Yep.
Like when we do that, when I hire you for the next house, like the first dumpster, you're not gonna make a lot of money because it's gonna be 120-year-old wood, and it's real dry, and it's gonna be tightly packed because we're demoing a house, But then dumpster 2 will be the same thing. But then like dumpster 3 and 4 is gonna be like modern construction stuff and HVAC stuff, and it's like by the time you factor in doing all 4 or even 5 dumpsters for me, that it will be obviously 5 dumpsters is worth a job, but 2 of them you'll have made a lot. 2 of them will have sucked. 1 will have been in the middle.
Yeah, so it evens out
exactly.
And that's how I was getting to, or that's what I was getting to was in the grand scheme of things on that job. What did we make on that job? Because yes, and then you're going to use this for the next job because you like the way we worked, you like the way we kept it efficient and hassle free.
Yeah.
You as the contractor don't want to have to keep calling the dumpster company back. I mean, we are one of the smallest parts of the job. You want to send a text message, hey, I need a swap at this address as soon as you can.
Yeah, but it's a big, important part of the job that is not talked about a lot.
Yep, but you don't want to have extra hassle.
No.
Because you have enough
hassle.
Enough hassle. You have enough hassle with getting permits, making sure your material is delivered on time, your subs are lined up, and if your material is not delivered on time but the sub is there, then dang, here we are, we're running 2 days behind now. And then you look out in the yard and the dumpster's full and it's been full for 3 days. Oh my gosh, this guy again,
and it's getting rained on and heavier.
That's where we're trying to avoid it, and that's what we're trying to do is make for a better experience. You send us a text message, boom, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. I don't hassle you with, okay, it's on the way. It'll be there in 30 minutes. Nope, it's done.
Yeah.
We are working on a new tracking software that gives the customers the option for text message response. So, if our driver leaves the dump and then is coming to you in your job site, it gives the option of them hitting a button. It sends you an automated text message saying we're on our way. Most of the contractors that I deal with, they don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, that's just like more info,
added responses. Sometimes you got to stop and look at. Yeah. Back to the whole keep it simple.
If I know I text you, I need a new can, same house, same price, same location, I need a thumbs up emoji.
Yep.
And it'll just happen the next day. I don't need to track that thing.
Yeah, at most a thumbs up. Yeah, that is the whole basis behind what we're doing.
Yeah. Auto charge that card and just drop me a new can. Let me get back to work. Yeah. So have you ever thought about moving or adding the throw stuff away part of it?
You mean like the junk removal? Where we go?
Yeah, where like a customer is like, I have this pile of deck debris because I didn't think about the dumpster and I need it put into the dumpster. but I'm 70 years old and I'm not going to do it.
So I have thought about that.
Yeah.
And when I first got started, I did do a little bit of that. The problem is back to the COVID thing. The problem was hiring help, getting people who wanted to work and good people, finding those people who want to help and want to work and that you can trust to go out and treat your customer with respect has become extremely difficult. But on the same side of that, insurance is different for that.
Had no idea. See?
Yep.
So there you go. Oh, because you're going in a home.
Not only that, but if you damage a home, it flips it all the way over to a new level of insurance. Right. If you, as my employee, bends down to pick up the dresser off the ground that's going in the dumpster, and you pull a muscle in your back, now you've got a different side of workers' comp. Yep. You've got all these other things, and so
it makes total sense now that I think about it after you just said it, because I remember helping somebody who, like, a family member passed away, and the VA was coming to take all their stuff as a donation. And they were like, we're only allowed to go in the garage. We can't go into the house. And so I and the person and another friend had to, like, drag a bunch of stuff. Yep. Once they emptied the garage, because it was already full, we had to, like, get the stuff from in the house to the garage so that they could take it and put it in a big box truck, because there was, like, an insurance difference of entering the home and stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's what one of the things that I took into consideration. Very similar situation. I had one of my best friends helping me move, and he bent over to pick up nightstand. We have, we have solid wood furniture. And me and him bent over to pick up the nightstand, and he pulled a muscle in his back, and he couldn't even go to work the next day. And here he is, one of my best friends, that's just doing me a favor, helping me out. And now he's out of work for 2 days, And so as I'm growing the business, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if that situation right there happens, now he's out of work, I'm paying him to sit at home, I'm paying his workers' comp. Why not we just stick to the driving, stick to the dumpster rentals?
Yep.
Then, you're also trying to scale a business.
It's the reason I have no employees and just every subcontractor that exists.
Yeah.
Of 0 employees.
Trying to scale a business. Just say, for instance, I have 10 jobs lined up for tomorrow, but I've got 3 guys that call out. How am I going to get to these 10 jobs, in a timely manner? Well, the hiring problem is a lot of what changed my mind on doing the junk removal. I did do it at the beginning just to get my name out there. I was responding to every post on Facebook. Hey, I've got a mattress. Hey, I've got these timbers in my yard that I need thrown away. I would start out with, well, I have a dumpster you can rent. And they're like, well, we don't want a dumpster. We just want to get rid of the mattress. So, I would do that. And then just to get my name out there and get business and get started. But the dumpster rentals is kind of what I decided to make my niche.
And it sounds like, but I'll just ask, do you like it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Oh.
I get to meet tons of new people, get to help people out, when they just have no idea what to do with this pile of crap that they got, that's a lot of, the like behind it, because truly, if you look at it, it is just a job, or it is just a business. But it's everything in life is what you make it. Yeah. So I try to make it.
Very well said.
I try to make it positive. I try to make I had a guy that worked for me last year that we would laugh and joke around, and he had been in the dumpster business for about 15 years. And he would make jokes sometimes, and, we'd kind of laugh about it. And then he would just look at me and he'd say, hey, we do the same thing all day, every day. You've got to find happiness in what you're doing, and you got to have fun doing it. And I loved that, because he was right. If you don't want to be happy, if you don't want to be happy, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. Happiness is something you got to work at.
Yes.
Like regardless of your job, it's definitely something you got to put like a little work into.
Absolutely.
There's not just like happy people and sad people. There's like people who think like, okay, maybe it would be worthwhile being happier. Let's like work on getting a little happier.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so my wife owns a salon in Youngsville, and we hired a coach to help with her business. And one of the things that we were taught, I took into mine, was you hire the personality and you teach them the skill, because you can't teach somebody to be a happy, positive person. But just like in her business, my business is the same. Word of mouth goes a long ways. And if you go to get your hair cut and your barber's always negative and down and just always pissed off and telling you how bad the world sucks every time you go in there, you're not going to want to go back to him.
No.
But, even if he gives you a good haircut, but if you go in there and he's positive, uplifting, just tells you about how great the day is, even when it's pouring down rain. Thank the Lord for the rain. We needed it. It's been dry, stuff like that, rather than, oh my gosh, it's raining again. So I also took that in and said, okay, let's hire good, happy people, and we can teach them to drive a truck. We can teach them to deliver a dumpster. As long as they've got a good driving record, they pay attention. Driving a truck's not hard. But if he shows up at the house and he's always pissed off and he's always, mad at the world, he's going to be negative. That's going to ruin our customer's experience. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, that guy sucked. Why would I order a dumpster from him again?
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, but when a driver to do a delivery shows up and he's in a good mood, it just makes the delivery all that much better.
Happiness is contagious.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I have seen throughout my life is even at the sheriff's office. When I worked at the sheriff's office, if you do your job and you do it with a good heart and a positive mindset, then people love that. I can't tell you how many people I had to put handcuffs on that, I would just tell them, hey man, this isn't the end of the world. Talk to them about their life. How did we end up in this situation? And then they would thank me at the end of it. Hey, thank you for treating me like a normal human being. Thank you for not being rude and disrespectful, because
everybody wants respect.
Everybody, and I mean, they are just real people. Even though they had to go to jail today, they still are a person, and that's what they want. So if you're happy, you're positive behind it, it's contagious. Who knows, just by being happy and treating that person like a human, what that led to. My contact with him was over, and then he went into the jail, but he might not have decided to choke the jailer out today because, I told him everything was going to be okay and not to stress. But, had I been all ugly and negative towards him, who knows where it would have led, so that's the way I look at it.
You said something that made me think of a question. If a driver shows up at the house, quote unquote, where do you store 200 dumpsters?
Well, most of them are out.
I know, but like 100. What, if COVID hit again tomorrow and mm-hmm. you had to store 150 of your 200, where do you put them?
Well, we've got several different spots, different things worked out with different people as far as storing dumpsters. We also try to keep them spread out throughout the community for efficiency purposes. So we've got a couple different lots that we have worked out with different people where I can store 5 or 10 of them at a time here or there. And where I live in Lewisburg, we've got a significant piece of land there where we set some. So if say one is damaged or it needs touching up with paint or something like that, we'll bring them back to the house, clean them up, wash them, paint them, then get them ready to go back out.
Okay, cool. So do me a favor, shout out your wife's salon.
Southern Roots Salon in Youngsville. My wife's name is Lacey Vaughan. She does great work. I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. She is the hardest worker in the salon. She, one of her best talents is she can multitask 3 or 4 different women at the time. She has been doing it long enough. She knows when this client walks in and sits down in her chair, at what minute that client is going to move on to the processing stage, and she's got another client walking in to come down and get started. So, my wife does a great job. She also has a knack for teaching. She loves to hire new girls right out of school and teach them how to be great. So Southern Roots Salon in Youngsville, they do a lot of balayage, different coloring techniques, haircuts, just, whatever you can think about, they can do it.
Nice. Okay. And then give the listeners your info as well.
So my business is All American Dumpsters. Phone number is 919-857-6775. You can find us on Facebook, All American Dumpsters. We're working on a website. We had one. I didn't like it. It didn't quite meet my standards. So, we just let that go.
Let the word of mouth do it, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, one thing people won't tell you is the stresses of the business. I can sit here and tell you how great we're doing. But that's what got me into this. Somebody said how great it was and how easy it was to make money. Well, that's true, but it's not all true. Nobody tells you, the guys on YouTube and everything else, they don't tell you about what insurance costs and the actual stresses of the business and stuff like that. So, we did grow fast because we did make money and we did scale just like, a business should. But the word of mouth, I've got to give it to word of mouth. I get out, I meet people.
Networking events,
absolutely. That's the biggest thing. So, like I said, the website just wasn't doing it for me. And I said, well, when I get ready to build a new one, it's going to be exactly what I want it to be and nothing less. So, we're working on that. You'll be able to find us there before long. But if anybody has, any questions, all they got to do is shoot me a text message. I have a business line for that reason. I get back to you relatively quickly. And then, I'm willing to help
you
anybody.
Here with the 2 phones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I did that from the beginning. It's something that I learned from my laser engraving business. I wanted this to be as professional and as nice as possible. And is nothing more gut wrenching than when a customer calls and they say, is this All American Dumpsters? And I'm like, absolutely it is. Sorry for not being, professional when I answered the phone, because with my laser engraving business, I use my personal number. And so people would call and I'd just say, hello. Well, is this Custom Laser Works? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my buddy I gave my number to an hour ago. So we like I say, we try to be as nice, professional with everybody as we can. So when the phone rings, and that being said, if I take a vacation for a week, I hand this phone to you, and now you pick it up and say, All American Dumpsters, how can I help you? That way we keep it pretty simple, we keep it streamlined. The customers always know what to expect. Even if they don't get me on the phone, they get a driver or somebody who's helping me manage it for a week. It's going to be, we fixed the mold. It's always going to be the same. So there's never a question about what you're going to get when you call. So
I might have to think about getting a business line.
Hey, when you grow and you scale and you want to take a vacation for a week, what are you going to do? Just stop answering the phone?
I usually just answer the phone on vacation and tell them I'll be back in 4 days.
You're
and
right.
They're like, okay, great. That's no problem. Because every other contractor's 6 weeks out. So
right.
it hasn't been an issue. But I haven't scaled like you.
The problem with my business, though, is you've got a dumpster sitting at a house and you need it switched right now. This is a great example. We took a family vacation to Alaska last month. So I was gone for a week. And I had phone service, maybe a day and a half out of all of that. So you need a dumpster switch right now. If you can't get up with me, what are you going to do? You're going to call, and then you're going to call somebody else. I don't want to lose that business.
No, of course.
And I don't want to lose you as a customer after we've built this relationship. I want to keep the relationship going and keep the customer service going. So I can just hand this phone to somebody now, and, we keep that going. That way nobody's left behind. Everybody stays serviced like they should be. Dumpsters stay available. And if you as a homeowner call and you want a dumpster Friday, today's Wednesday, you want the dumpster on Friday, then great. Nothing's left out. You can continue on with your weekend project that you have going on, and we helped out another customer.
Yeah. Giving your dumpster guy more than 1 day heads up is also a very smart idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My guy, former guy, I should say. Hopefully you'll be my new guy when I get the next job going. But because I can kind of see like, okay, these guys are filling it at this kind of rate.
Yep.
Like we're not going to need one tomorrow, but we're definitely going to need one the next day. So let's be like, hey, let's just plan for 8 a.m. 2 days from now. And if it's like really bad at the end of the day before, I'll have them pile it next to it or whatever.
The problem with most contractors is they have one too many jobs going on, so they don't get to every job every day. And they show up on the job, and the dumpster's piled up above the rim. Then they're like, hey, I need a dumpster right now. Well,
too bad.
I mean, at 2:00 in the afternoon, me coming from Youngsville to Franklin, from Youngsville to Durham, come on.
It's just not a realistic request.
It's not. But
No.
so I just say, well, okay, cool. We'll put you on the schedule for tomorrow. And that's 90% of what we do. But yeah, if you're a good project manager, you're paying attention to all of your stuff, hey, we're going to have to do this on Wednesday. All right, cool. No problem. I'll set you up for a swap out on Wednesday.
And then there, like I mentioned kind of earlier in the podcast, there's a point where most dumpsters, and you're in the same boat. I think you told me you could do a 2-week.
For construction stuff, we do 30 days.
Oh, you do 30 days. My bad.
Construction stuff, we do 30 days, but homeowners and stuff, we do homeowners and clean outs and stuff like that, we do for 2 weeks, 14 days.
Gotcha. So, but like what I was going to say is like when you get to a point where the massive amount slows down, but you still need a dumpster on site, you can get to the point where it's almost like, okay, we're never going to fill it up, but we're going to hit that 30-day mark. So even if there's 2 weeks left, I can hit you up and be like, hey, just do a transfer on day 29. So I get no overage days and you could schedule it now and we don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
And just be like, I'm going to need one every 29 days because I need one on site, but we're never going to fill it at this point because we're not generating enough trash. And it's still cheaper to do that than to pile it all in one spot, let it all get rained on and moldy and full of snakes and stuff, and then pay somebody to put in a dumpster at the end of the job.
Absolutely. And I've got customers that do that, and they'll
draw
out lengthy projects, and the dumpster will sit for 3 months. And I'm, before I bought these last set of dumpsters last month, I'm like, hey, well, if the dumpster's sitting and you're not using it, I would love to rent it to somebody else. But if you just want to let it sit there and pay for it just to sit there, hey, that's on you. Our terms up front. But if that's what you want to do, fine. But like you said,
you have customers who pay like 3 months for an empty dumpster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've got one that's sitting right now, and it's been sitting for 9 months. And she said, I don't care. I want to be able to throw the trash away when we have the trash.
And she hasn't generated trash in 9 months, and she's paying you 30 days every month.
Not enough to fill up the dumpster.
Well, that's the best customer in the world.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And no tonnage fee. So you're that's the best. Oh,
the money.
Wow. Yep. How do we get you some more of those?
Right. Absolutely.
It's actually awful, but for joking's sake, that's incredible, but also realistically, good for you on the money. But what is she thinking? I don't
know.
She thinks you'll not have one available when she wants to generate the trash.
Or I guess she just thinks that if she comes in with a truckload of trash today, she wants to be able to unload it and not have to go to the dump, and then she might not get another truckload of trash for another month. But,
is this like a business or just a homeowner?
It's a business, but they run the business out of their house. So it's a contractor also, but so they generate small amounts of trash per job, and then they just take it and throw it in the dumpster. And,
that's their trash solution is they've rented a dumpster from you that sits at their house, and they just bring the trash home from their small jobs every day and throw it in a dumpster.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. I would never ever do that, but that's I'm not saying it's a bad way to go, but I'm just like I'm doing some mental math in my head, and I'm like, a pickup truck's worth of trash is like $20 at the hand on bomb. And it happens to be 3 minutes around the corner for me. So like versus a $400 dumpster, I'd have to look at in my driveway. Yep. No way.
No, I agree, but they're paying for it, so we let it.
You're happy to pay. Yeah, of course, you're happy to supply it. We're just talking on a podcast, so like that's nuts though. Yeah, okay, that's insane. Man. Sorry, I'm still baffled by that. That's just like it's so much money. At what's a dumpster? 450?
350. Or well, a 20-yard dumpster is $375. That's our base price. For 3 tons, we do a 15-yard dumpster for $350. And then we just recently bought 25-yard dumpsters, and we're getting ready to start renting those.
And these are cubic yard. That's where the number comes from. So approximately, for people who don't know, who aren't you and I, a 20-yard dumpster is approximately how big in feet?
Well, we'll say for homeowners' perspectives, it's about 8 pickup truck loads worth of trash. So if you were going to have to go back and forth to the dump, you would factor in about 8 trips with a pickup truck. And that's the way that I like to explain it, because that puts it in perspective. People are like, oh, $375. Why would I want to pay $375 for a dumpster? And I'm like, well, how long is it going to take you to go back and forth to the dump?
And the gas.
8 times. Not only the gas, but the time. You had to hand load it. Now you have to hand unload it, and you have to do that 8 times. That's more than a Saturday's worth of work.
Yeah. That's why 1-800-JUNK is like the biggest scam, because their trucks are like shockingly small, and they charge you for the people to load it, and the people get paid by the hour to sit in the truck and drive to the dump and sit in the line at the dump and then hand unload it.
Yep.
Where instead you could just like rent a dumpster and either do it yourself or just hire some people to be like, hey, I'll pay you by the hour to just throw it in that dumpster and walk 4 feet instead of like driving all this stuff. Yeah.
That, and if you're not familiar with the dump policies, rules, how it operates and stuff like that, you're just in the way.
It's true. My first time I was confused as hell.
You're just in the way. You're kind of fumbling through it. You might screw up and either not weigh in, not weigh out, not pay the right person. Was with us. We save you all of that hassle because you don't have to go. Then it's one of the things that my dad said when I got started was, you're in and out of the dump every day. Look at all the nails and the screws and all the sharp stuff that your tires are picking up, and and I took that into perspective, of telling homeowners, I'm saving you the hassle, but we're also saving you potentially tires, nails in the tires, and all of that stuff. It's a risk that we take that's involved with it. And that's where our cost comes in.
I've never thought about it, but that's probably where every nail in my truck tire has come from.
Absolutely. From the job site to the dump, that's it.
Yeah.
I kid you not, I have seen different dumps, and we back into the dump. We get out to open the door to dump the dumpster, and it looked like a 5-gallon bucket full of nails or screws was just strode across the floor. And I think it's nothing more than a sub used, they had used stuff left over or stuff left over that they're not going to put in their van to take with them to the next job. So they just dump it in the dumpster. The dumpster gets dumped on the ground, and now, the screws didn't get picked up. So now we back across them. It drives me insane.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's not like you can attach a magnet to the back of your truck. Yeah, that'd be great.
That has crossed my mind.
I'm sure it has, but it probably would cause more problems than good. Yeah. I have seen those like kind of roll magnet things at Home Depot where it's like I'm like, at the when the job is done, maybe I should do the driveway real quick, because it's hard to see screws in that gravel. It's like the same color. Yeah. Hey, man, this was incredible. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you making the time.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Once again, it's All American Dumpsters. What's the number?
919-857-6775.
And you're, I'm sure, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Website coming soon. And then, as always, the Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram, Facebook. You can check out the YouTube page. CRS Contracting, also on Instagram and Facebook. You can give me a call, 845-489-6057. If you need some work or want to come on the podcast or want me to talk about something special on the podcast, just let me know. And as always, thanks for listening. Have a good one, everybody.